Hi, I'm Andre Faust. We've just learned recently that the city has locked out Union 508. And anyway, one of the disturbing things is who they hired to administer the lockout. It's an international company known as AFIMAC. Now, this company is known worldwide. On their website, I mean, they say since 1982, AFIMAC has assisted more than 5,000 image-conscious clients of all sizes and in every industry, including many Fortune 500 corporations, plan for and execute business continuity response strategies. Our efforts have helped these companies prepare for business disruptions caused by labor dispute that threaten the potential shutdown of daily operations forever. I like that last word, forever, whatever in the hell that means. And anyway, they go on and they offer what their services is. A team of AFIMAC experts work with executives to provide the most comprehensive suite of services available in the marketplace, from planning a response to providing supplemental labor. We understand the needs to keep employees safe and give them peace of mind through specialized and highly trained security detail that can protect corporate assets should a plant go on strike or actually close. So I can go on the list, but if you're interested, just go to your favorite search engine and type in A, Alpha, F, Foxtrot, I, Indiana, M, Mike, A, Alpha, C, Charlie. And you can see for yourself what this company is about. But given the magnitude of this company and the services that they provide, I suspect that this lockout was well planned ahead of time during the negotiations. And if that's the case, the city is definitely not working in good faith. I'll take more from their site. Pre-dispute needs analysis and preparedness audit. I mean, common sense tells you that once the unions gave them the notice of strike, that they just got on the phone and said, "Hey, AFIMAC dude, so we got a little issue here. Can you come down and fix it?" No, that can't happen. This was already orchestrated long before the notice of strike was given. I'm looking at the report of counsel in committee, and anyway, the rationale that they have given to initiate the lockout is a common practice for unions to organize rotating strikes. It will become very difficult to provide consistent services and nearly impossible to manage from one day to the next. For example, if the members of 508 decide to come back to work one day to the next, and then there is a snowstorm and half of them decide not to come to work, it would be very disruptive to the citizens of Fredericton and very tough for staff to manage service delivery. That's all speculations. For one, the way that I understand the John Neumann game theory is that the unions in that situation would not derelict their jobs. They would supply the service, and the reason is very obvious. Not to would be a very bad public relations move. It would make the unions look extremely bad if they did not supply the necessary human power to go through the snowstorm. So that's a crock of shit, right? That's the only way that I can describe it, making speculations. And of course, when I look at the whole marketing of the rationale behind the order to lock the union out, I can clearly see that it's consistent with AFIMAC's strategies. So to summarize this up is that this lockout was planned ahead of time. And of course, that's just a hypothesis right now, and I'm going to find the answer to that, because on Tuesday I'll be giving a second Right to Information Act demanding when did the negotiations start with AFIMAC, because that's going to be very, very important to determine whether or not the city was acting in good faith. Now, the city has a history of doing some bizarre things. During the Occupy movement, the dismantling of the camp, they did, they went ahead and did something illegal. They were called on it. The young individual who now has his own practice, law practice in Niagara, but back then he wasn't even considering law as a career, Julian Renault. He single-handed challenged McGuinness and Cooper, a huge law firm, that extends right across Canada. Anyway, he called the city on their actions, and he won the lawsuit, and the city had to pay out $15,000. That was one. Another one that comes to mind was the Take Back the Letter, where the city in closed committee or in camera committee went and asked Trudeau to write a letter of support or something to that effect in regards to the pipeline. Of course, that backfired and that became public, and it was embarrassing for the council of that day. That was under the Woodside administration. But what I can say about the Woodside administration is that when you went to look for information on the website, it was there. Right now, there's one councillor that seems to always be absent during controversy. So I went on to the Fredericton City website to look for the attendance records of the councillors and do the correlations in that. Well, I couldn't find it. Under this administration, for some reason or other, they've taken out the attendance records. The previous administration, the Woodside administration, that kind of information was readily available. Now, I know how the city's going to respond to that. Yeah, I know exactly how they're going to say, well, you can come down to City Hall and get that information. Well, that's not the point. The point is that at one time, that information was readily accessible through the city's websites. And there's other problems that I've encountered. One, I wanted to look at the Planning Advisory Committee to see who sat onto it and what their occupation was, or what position in life did they hold besides sitting on the Planning Advisory Committee. Under the old administration, they said that the name, this is Jeff Coulter. He's the chairman of the Planning Committee, and he's a contractor. That bit of information. So I'm looking at the name, so I can't tell if these people are stakeholders or not. And that bothers me because in all of this, there's a thing that I've learned is to understand what goes on in the political arena, follow the money. And when you follow the money, you start seeing the various stakeholders, whether they be a friend of this politician or a cousin of another. You start connecting the dots. So that information is not now made available. And, it's just that I'm, finding that when I'm trying to find information, it's not there. From what I'm seeing is that they've got a very good public relations person, and with the union, I know that they've had to have previous contact with AFIMAC. This is just too well mapped out to have been done on the spur of the moment. There was a lot of thought that was put into it, and logic tells me that with this amount of thought, it didn't happen overnight. It took weeks of preparations and talks and discussions and actual planning strategies. So I'm making the allegation that the city was in communications with this AFIMAC company long before the strike notice was given. So I'm not going to go on too much more. I think I'm just going to briefly summarize that that the city did not act in good faith because they contacted this company during the negotiation or even before negotiations. And 2 is that they are in this administration, it's a little bit more secretive than the previous administration was. So I'm going to wrap that up. This is Andre, and I am kind of, well, you kind of figure from my tone, I'm not pleased. Till next time, take care.